Andy Serkis is not just a pioneer of motion capture acting, but he's also the preeminent creative force in the field. That's right, we're breaking out the big words because Andy Serkis deserves that level of respect. Now, he didn't get no respect from Warner Brothers, who shunted his crowning achievement of his career over to Netflix because they felt that it could not hold a candle to Disney's recent juggernaut. I think that might be true to some degree box office wise, although as you're about to see from my review, I think it can definitely compete critically. But you know what? Hollywood's a tough business. But I'm happy to be able to report that Serkis can still hold his head high and remains untouchable when it comes to bringing non-human, or in some cases humanoid, characters to life. He's so talented, it's ridiculous. How did we ever doubt him? How did Warner? I don't know. I don't know if Netflix is like the saving grace of this movie or it's Elephant Graveyard. It's really, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens with the film. And to be fair, Serkis's Mowgli is short on spectacle, and the visual, and I mean like spectacle, like Barnum and Bailey spectacle level. Like he doesn't have that kind of showmanship. I just don't think it's in Serkis. As you know, you're going to see from this review, Serkis just has different priorities, which is fine, but maybe not so much from the studio's perspective. But also, I have to say the visual effects are also wildly uneven. Like at some points you're like, oh, that looks bad. But at other points you're like, that's really impressive. To the point that it makes me wonder if maybe Warner Brothers simply pulled the plug on it mid-render, being like, you're going to Netflix, it looks good enough. And it is very good, but Mowgli, even under the best ideal circumstances, is simply not a $900 million picture. But it is an actor's movie. And I laugh because it's just so clearly not built to compete at the same level as Jon Favreau's Jungle Book, but it's just so good, I feel so bad for it. But I also would have to say that it's much closer to the feeling of reading a book, like, I don't know, Rudyard Kipling's, right? A darker, more nuanced, sophisticated story with a very strong message, the kind of message that you usually only get from books. And I also think it's interesting that, like Kipling, Serkis, of course, is British and has that same perspective of India, with the added benefit of knowing how it all turned out. Although, of course, Kipling had a very nuanced perspective of the British-India relationship as well. That flavor is definitely here, and I love it. If you like, obviously not only the historical aspects, but the romanticized version of that. They even highlighted it recently in Westworld. I think that Serkis's Mowgli draws on that, both the good and the bad, which I found wonderful. And this also is a real gift, because especially to cinephiles, because it's a rare circumstance where you can see two directors approach the same source material with the backing, at least originally, of two major studios and substantial budgets, right? But from two vastly different perspectives with completely different end goals. And both directors succeed wildly. It's like a fork in the road, and you get to travel both paths. You don't have to pick. It's really fascinating. They really almost do make a wonderful set. Now again, since this is an actor's movie, literally with an actor at the helm, the work on screen is next level. Not only does the amazing voice cast deliver as one would expect, but in many cases, you can actually see and recognize the face of the actor in the face of the animal. Like, speaking of Westworld, the actor on Westworld, there's an actor from that cast who's here as well. And I was like, is it that guy from Westworld? Because that wolf totally looks like him. And to me, the real standouts in the cast, motion capture-wise, are Christian Bale, Benedict Cumberbatch. Are there really any surprises here? Andy Serkis actually isn't as good as those two, but he does a nice job. He's, very similar to his roles, like in Tintin. He's got that snarl he likes to give some of his characters sometimes, Serkis. And then also Serkis' own son, Louis, who of course is in that upcoming King Arthur film, makes a strong impression as well. But while of course, again, you're prepared for Bale and Cumberbatch and to some degree Serkis to do a great job, right? You're like, of course they're good. I'm glad they did do a good job and they didn't phone it in, or they weren't just doing Serkis a favor. They took this very seriously. But nothing could have prepared me for the acting done by Rohan Chand. I mean, especially since the only other time I've ever seen him on screen is the dark comedy Bad Words. Remember that movie with Jason Bateman? He was good there, but I had no idea he was such a strong, dramatic actor. Like, wow, we're talking an absolute powerhouse to be able to go paw to paw with Bale and Cumberbatch and Serkis, etc. He delivers a performance that not only runs the gamut of emotions, but is largely internal. I was, again, blown away. Also, Serkis's Mowgli is older than Favreau's, which again allows for that darker story. And on that note, while Matthew Rhys has a very small role, I love Matthew Rhys, I was so happy to see him. And it's, you're not going to see a lot of him, but it's a very important role. And I never saw that, let's say, twist coming. Never saw it coming. And it's so brave of Serkis to go there, considering I'm sure Warner Brothers was like, give me a family picture. This is a family picture, but in the way I guess, you think of like things like, the Black Cauldron or the Secret of Nim, like, that darker style of animation that was so arresting and that Hollywood has backed away from. It's like in that category. I really loved it. And I hope that Serkis is ultimately rewarded for taking this, this brave twist. But I feel that so far this Netflix move, for instance, seems like a punishment. So while I know it's a very busy holiday season, including at the multiplex, and I know it's highly unlikely that any of you are going to pay to see this movie at a theater when you can stream it for free as part of your Netflix subscription starting December 7th, I'm begging you, mark your calendar for December 7th and stream this thing. I feel it's one of the best movies of the year. And if you can't see it before the holidays, see it right after. It's just really worth your time. And very much in the spirit of Kipling's original work. And maybe even, I have to do my list, but I certainly think it's a contender for one of the best movies of 2018. So that's my review of Mowgli. I feel bad, like most of you are not gonna see this for a little bit, but I can't wait to hear what you think of it. Share your thoughts down below or tweet them to me, but don't give away that twist. It really is important to have it wash over the audience when it happens. All right, so again, that's my review of Mowgli. Leave those thoughts down below, and of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.